Alright, we're back. A couple little updates. I scrapped all of the alloy from that television antenna. Ended up being about right under $500 worth of stuff. I still haven't done the steel yet, the stuff that held it up. So that's a pretty good little profit from a $100 investment plus some diesel to go get the thing. Turned out that was not stainless because I'm an idiot. That was all aluminum, 6061 T6. And so they put a PMI gun on it just because I didn't know, and they wanted to double check the alloys, and sure enough, it was all aluminum. So it's like 300 pounds of aluminum, 30 or 40 pounds of stainless, and I don't know, a good 80 pounds of copper. And they gave me number 1 copper because it was big stuff that time, so that was $3.30 a pound, so that was kind of nice. Back on this thing. Since you saw it last, I've done a few little things. I started throwing that oxygen sensor code. I watched it. The heater was bad. It was lazy, so I changed out the number 2 oxygen sensor on the number 1 bank, which on this car the number 1 bank is the rear, number 2 bank is the front. The rear is considered the right, I believe, and the front is considered the left, because all of these oxygen sensors are different. They got different connectors on them. Anyway, finally got the right one, changed that out. That code's gone. Beautiful. And I actually bought an OEM Denso, so it had all the connectors on it, and the pins and everything, and the hold downs and the tie wraps and all the other junk built into it, so it just flipped right into place like factory. But now it's showing everything's running great, still perfect, but it's got this cat's lazy. It's showing a reduced cat efficiency on bank 2, which is unfortunate. So in the grand scheme of things, that doesn't matter here because I don't have emissions testing. But I don't like having lights pop up randomly, so I bought a bottle of snake oil and threw it in there. It's supposed to save the cat. And we'll try that before I do something any more creative than that to get rid of that problem. I was able to fix 3 out of the 4 of the windows. So they all work now. Automatic works, up and down works for the drivers, both of the rears. The passenger still only works on the passenger door, but that's not a big deal. The way that worked is this $300 doodad here is actually a module. And once I plugged in my big scanner, there was a recalibration procedure that I could do that ran this window up and down in steps and did things, and it just started working. So that was pleasant. Let's see. What else? This wiper arm was broken, so $14 for a brand new one. No issues there. Had to use a puller to get it off, so my steering wheel puller kit had enough pieces where I was able to cobble something together to pop that off without breaking the window. You know, easy peasy. And I went to the junkyard and found a set of those. They're filthy. Well, they're less filthy than they were when I got them, and they're the wrong color. They're tan rather than gray, but looks a lot better than just having that door flopping out in the open. So that was like 15 bucks. No issues there. I also was able to get that tail light off that same junker in the pull-apart. That's a pain in the butt, because to get to those taillights, the whole bumper cover's got to come off, which is really not terrible. A couple of screws up at the top on each side, a couple of pop pins on the bottom, a couple of screws on the bottom. But then the sneaky one that I screwed up is there is a screw up under here, and you're supposed to pull that out before you yank the bumper off. Anyway, after you get those 7 or 8 fasteners off, the bumper just bloop, flops off backwards, and it's a lot easier to get at these stupid things to change them out. So no biggie there. That still doesn't like going up, but it's certainly working better going down as we use it a little more. So I'm happy with that. So that's basically what I've done to this point. About 450 miles on it so far, getting about 25 miles to the gallon. Super happy with that. But today's the big day. So what do we have? First, we've got front struts, because this right front is absolutely trash. The rears seem to be pretty even, so we're not touching them yet. But the right front's junk, so we got two new complete replacement struts. They're Monroe's. They're not factory, but good enough for this work. To go with it, we've got 4 not quite new Michelins. And these I got from Champ Tires. They are not a sponsor. But I'll tell you what, I've bought tires from them a few times in the past. They just deal in used tires. I cannot complain. These were probably almost half the price of new. And look at this. I mean, the nubbies are barely worn off. I mean, seriously, you can still see the nubs. I don't know where they get these things, don't care, but fabulous. If you're looking for tires, and you don't mind paying somebody to install them, or if you're like me, you can put them on yourself, Champ Tires, man, they are absolutely phenomenal and super fast shipping. I think I ordered these on Tuesday. They were here Friday. The other thing we're doing today, we've got our tune-up. We've got our 6 spark plugs, factory, and our timing kit, which I went with an Ison because that should be Toyota. And this kit looks great. Got all of the pulleys, got the water pump, got the gasket, and some of the best instructions I've ever seen come in a kit for how to change this belt, because there's a couple of little wonky things on it that aren't standard, but I've read it in the service manual and I've read this. They are effectively identical, and this may actually be less confusing than the service manual. But so we're going to get that done. Anyway, first thing it says is, obviously everything's on this side of the engine, passenger side, and we need to remove this and all of that. Which, I think if you were just doing the timing belt, you probably don't need to remove that cowl and the windshield wiper and all the other stuff. But, since I'm going to be doing the spark plugs, and I believe I need to pull the intake manifold to do that, and that's kind of tucked up under there, we're going to pull all of that stuff just this first time. Plus, it'll give me an idea, just I'll learn how it works. And then we'll go from there. But the one thing I've tried to find, but I couldn't, there were no, and there's this bolt for it. I could not find anything with a battery hold down that would match this unit. So that was a little disappointing. I may have to go back there in a month or two when they have maybe another one of these in. I did find a bunch of RX330s, which is the series prior to this. They are quite different, so not going to work. Oop, uh-oh. Fatality. Otherwise, no, she's beautiful. Air conditioning holding the charge, working perfect. Everything is solid. I also was not able to find the wheel liner because the truck that had been smashed in this side that I took the rest of the junk off of. And again, it's not the same as the 300. But, alright, so we're going to get this thing up on jacks. Actually, we're probably going to take all this stuff off first. I don't know that I'm going to show it step by step, but if I find anything interesting about the process, I'll bring you back. So we'll see you all in a bit. Alright, first thing I find is you got to take 70% of that junk off to do the struts anyway. So, okay. Nothing major so far, just a bunch of plastic clips, some 14s on the wipers. Toyota Denso, very nice. Nothing too major, everything looks good, a little dirty, but really in the grand scheme of a 20-year-old car, not bad. Oop, more wasps. Get rid of them. Alright, so now we got to pop the wiper, drive out, which looks to be a bunch of little 10s, and then that comes off. So not terrible. Looks like, yeah, looks like this is going to have to get unplugged. Looks like I've been in here. Typical Toyota, clip is broken. So, alright, we'll cut those zip ties, and I like that. I've done that before. It works fine. That's interesting. So this may have been replaced at some point in the past. Not a big deal. It works perfectly. The auto wipers work great. Yeah, everything else. Yeah, you can see this isn't pushed in. So that's been replaced. So, let's see, this is not attached. Alright, so we're going to pop the wiper motor out and get that tin out of there. And yeah, then we'll have all sorts of room for shenanigans. Alright, very cool. Back in a few. Alright, this is pretty straightforward. Only weird thing, I guess, is that this is also held in by two of the strut nuts. And those were put on by a gorilla, near as I can tell. Holy smoke, I had to get a 1/2-inch breaker bar to get them loose. And then, just a bunch of other little 10s, 4 10s other than that, or 5 10s, maybe 6. And I think we've got some clearance. Set you over there. Oh yeah, that's a little better. Man, that's not bad at all. I haven't even gotten the beauty cover off yet. So, yeah, a little bit of cleaning in there. Oh, more wasps. Come here. My goodness. This thing did sit for a while. Get out of here. Okay. Yeah, she's looking pretty good. Very nice. Like I said, a little bit of cleaning before we put her back together. This thing won't know what hit it. Alright, so now we're going to get the beauty cover off, which looks to be socket head cap screws. Interesting. And we'll see what we got. Alright, we're getting there. So we got all of this off. There is a 14mm back here, a little bolt that's got to come out. I just noticed it's still not loose, or not happy. So back behind the throttle body is another brace in there, and that needs to come off. I really don't want to take the throttle body off its mount yet. I guess I could. It's just 4 10s, and that would show it better. But I really don't want to break any more break loose any more gaskets if I don't have to. A lot of times these gaskets can be reused, but that one it's pretty corroded. So I'm going to see if I can get that off. It feels like it might be a 12. I don't know. We'll find out. Kind of glad I did that. So there's that bolt that has to come out. Look at that. The gasket is a screen. Who knew? That's pretty wild. Alright, so we're going to pop this last one off, which does look to be a 12. I tried a 14, it didn't work. Couldn't really get a 10 in there because of the stuff in the back. So, yeah, we're going to check that out. Get that off of there, and then the intake, and whatever the hell that is, the water-cooled part of the intake system, should come off. Alright, well, let's see. Damn it. Still feels like it's stuck on something. Is it 2 braces back there? Yep, my goodness, there's another one. All the way in the back. Boy, they were really didn't want to make sure this thing moved. Okay. Back in a minute. Alright. Well, I think that's going to be it. And this is kind of how you can tell if one of these has been heavily molested by a ham and egger, is those aren't there. So those three are out. Oh, got a hose. I see another hose. Back in a minute. Alright, now we're gonna see if we can get this unit off of there. Pushing this hose. Up there it goes. There it is. Woo! Alright. Alright. Woo! Yeah. Wow, look at how cockeyed that engine is. That's wild. It is not flat. That back bank is really low compared to the front. Huh. That's interesting. Yeah, here's your 3 braces for the intake manifold and the throttle body. I got 1 Bobo coil, and all of those clips are still good. I don't know that that intake manifold has ever been off. Mainly, first, because... Get that out of there, stop it leaking. Mainly because these are still there. Those are never put back. And the coil clips are still good, because these break when you breathe on them. Alright. The intake gasket looked phenomenal. So, no need to fret there. Gonna do a real good deep clean on the throttle body, because she's a little cruddy. That gasket is just mediocre at best. I may see if I can get one of those, because it's not standing too proud from there. But this one is, that's beautiful. No issues there. Alright. So, now we can pop the coils and the plugs. Which this part is not required to do the timing job. But since I'm doing the plugs anyway, gotta do all this, and taking the plugs out will make it easier to turn the engine over. Man, I keep hitting my head on this thing. That's annoying. I gotta get a something to put up there, because this just low enough. No, that coolant is from me. Taking the throttle body off. Injectors look good. You know, all that stuff looks beautiful. At this point, it does not appear that a valve cover gasket job would be difficult, but luckily it does not appear that one needs to be done. Other interesting thing I found reading this is every 100,000 miles you're supposed to check the, or 90,000 miles, they want you to check the cam clearance. And this is kind of a weird system, because it's shim and bucket. It's not lifters or anything that would be adjustable. So in order to do that job properly, you've got to take it apart, measure your clearance, pull the shims out, mic the shims if it's out, and then order new shims. So it doesn't make any noise, it runs fine. We're not doing that, because there's a limit to what I want to do on this thing. This is not a restoration. This is a make it as good as it needs to be for my daughter to be safe driving it. And alright, yeah, we're looking pretty good. So I'm going to put some tape over that so that we keep as much crap out of the intake as possible. Intakes look pretty clean. And then we're going to pull the spark plugs. Alright, well, the front three look damn good. Very consistent. You know, been in there a while, but absolutely nothing wrong with that. And none of the clips broke. So, don't quite understand that, but good. Alright, also pretty darn good. Nothing terribly outlandish. They're all the same. They're all Densos, where mine are going to be NGKs. And actually, those are iridiums. I'm just putting platinums back in. Oh no! I'm sure they'll be fine. But yeah, super happy there. And none of the clips broke. Maybe it was the generation after this where Toyota's plastics started going downhill, but those clips all stayed intact. So that's kind of neat. We're gonna plug up those back holes, and then we can get on to the real work. Although I do notice that this little wire tray is disintegrating. So, not a big deal. But, yeah. So far, so good. It's coming apart real nice. The fun part will be getting those 3 brace bolts back in, because I am putting them back. Got a little possible refrigerant leak right there. I hope not, because that looks like a real shitty line to change. But it's been holding, so, and it vacuumed down really good, so we're just going to hope that that stays good. I know hope isn't a strategy, but it is for this one. Alright, and we're going to plug those holes off and then start the actual timing belt service. Alright, well, let's see. Got her on a jack stand, got the little cover plate out. I do need to get a fender well for this thing. Looks like it used to be there. But, yeah, since this is junk, I think I'm going to remove the strut, since that's going to be replaced as it goes back together anyway. And it's really, at this point, 5 or 6 more bolts. So, I'm going to knock the sway bar, brake line, and that's the ABS, and then these 2 bolts, and then the 1 bolt that's left up top. Get that strut out of there, open up all the room I can possibly open up, but it really doesn't look too bad in there. I don't really see any significant leaks. Don't really know how the rest of this works, but we'll find out when we get in there. I know this motor mount has to come out, the upper motor mount has to come out. Obviously all these belts, pulleys, bunch of covers, but we'll figure it out. Alright. Another reason I know this was done by somebody that kind of knew what they were doing is all of the bolts that held the little plastic front covers on were there, and none of the covers were broken. So, got that mid-engine mount off. Everything's looking good. Now I got to turn the crank with, until my timing marks, one of them, if you can see it, it's in that area somewhere, but until it's lined up with here, and the crank is lined up where it's supposed to be. So, we're gonna, there it goes. Oh yeah, that turns pretty easy. So we're gonna do that. Everything in there looks great though, so we're moving. Alright, so this little mark, let's see if we can focus. That little mark is lined up with that. Hard to see the back one, but I can sort of see the mark is in the right spot. And the If you look on the reluctor tone wheel, way back here, there's a spot on just below a tooth that is lined up with a little bump on the aluminum housing up there. And that means we are in time and we are where we need to be. Now the strange part is the next step is to turn this thing 60 degrees back. Which I'm assuming, because this is an interference engine, has something to do with when you release this not having something move and have the valves interfere with something. So it seems silly, but it's Toyota. I'm going to do what it says. So we're going to do that right now. Alright, we got the water pump loosened up, but it is entrapped by the back timing cover. And I have the bolts out on this end. So it'll move a little bit, but not enough to get that out. So, this is something they could have avoided by cutting that, but it looks like I got to pull this timing gear to get enough room to get the water pump out. But I'm going to go read about that, because that's not in these instructions. So we're going to go read before I do that to find out how big of a deal I'm going to screw up, because it's on its base circle, so it's not going anywhere. Yeah. Yeah, just checked my old data, and sure enough, the proper way to do this is to pull both timing belt pulleys. It's plenty of clearance. The big issue is 92 foot-pounds of torque to put them back on. So, holding that so you don't spin the timing belt, the camshaft over, that's going to be a trick. Now, I think what I may do is put a paint mark on there and just crank it back to where it was, which should be adequate. Again, I'm going to try to do it without pulling the back one, because I really don't want to have to do that all the way down there behind that wiring harness and everything else. We're going to knock this one off and see what we can do. Alright, she's out, and that's not the prettiest thing I've ever done. Once you get this off, you can lift it up after you take these two bolts out, and it still hangs right here. So we tweaked that a little bit to eliminate the interference, and the water pump is now out. There's no need to do that. Yeah, that cover goes over this, and it comes in right here. There's no reason for that. That's dumb. To make a water pump into pulling a timing gear. Not cool. It's alright, but otherwise everything's been going good. Honestly, if that's the only issue, that's not really a big issue. So now we got to get that gasket off there, wipe it down, and we are finally ready to start going back together with this thing. Alright, that's not, I haven't pulled the grenade pin on the tensioner yet, but I believe that is back in time. It's kind of a pain in the nuts, because that one in the back, you can't really see the timing marks. You can just barely see the mark on the pulley itself, but you can't really see the timing marks. But this is where buying OEM stuff or factory stuff comes in handy. See these little yellow lines? There are marks on the pulleys, this little pink dot, and there are lines on the belt. And when everything is perfect, everything lines up. So I've got 3 marks on the marks, and I've got this front one on its timing mark. And I'm pretty happy with that. So I think I'm about ready to pull the ripcord and slowly turn this thing through a couple of revs to see if I broke anything. But I think we're in good shape. And I marked my bolt and got it back to where it's supposed to be. So I think we're going to be in good shape. But the belt is less snug down here, which is where it's supposed to be. It's good and tensioned up top, all the way around. Yeah, pretty happy with that. Doesn't look like I've got any impingement on the area of the shroud that I tweaked, so that's a bonus. So yeah, now we're going to see what the next step is. Alright, she's back together, all the covers are on, belts are on. Really, other than that shroud for the water pump, not terrible. I noticed this dog bone's a little cracked, so that's not the best, but it'll do for now. There are a couple of grounds that cross over here that are actually on plugs, so gotta remember to put those back. These things don't like not being grounded. I don't remember where the other one went. It's around somewhere. We'll find it. I think it may have been on the intake manifold. I don't know. We'll find it. But anyway, we're going to stick some new spark plugs back in it and start us reassembling this upper end, I guess. Alright, well, it's all back together. I don't think I have any loose vacuum hoses. Took me a while to figure those out. This one here was broken. It had been glued. Of course it broke, so I drilled it out, put a T in there with a cap on it. That should fix that. Everything else back where it's supposed to go. And I guess we are ready to start this thing, for lack of a better term, up. So let's see if it works or if I have to cry. Whew. Contact. Oh, sounds good. There is no coolant in it, so we're not going to run it long. Thank you, Jesus. The hard part's done. Timing belt complete. All right. Good. Okay, I think I'm going to get this strut in here, and then I have to run to the parts store and get some correct coolant for it, so we can fill that back up. I haven't really seen a bleed on this thing, really. So let's see how that goes. Nope. See coolant pipes, but I don't see a bleeder. At least not a real obvious one like they would normally do. So good. I think we're good. Whew. That's always a little stressful. I think I got it timed properly, fired right up, no clinking and clanking, no codes immediately. Found my other ground. It's on this bracket that goes across and stiffens the intake. 3 screws holding the intake are in. Alright. Let's blow this thing out a little bit now that everything's sealed back up. And start putting it back together. Alright. Got the tires on. Struts done. Man, it drives like a new car. Super pleased. super pleased. New Michelin's. Got my new tail light all lit up. Running like an absolute top. Got my dent pounded out a little bit. She's running beautiful. So, last thing I got to do, which will probably be next week sometime, will be the transmission pan or transmission filter and fluid. And then this thing is absolutely ready. Man, that's the best. I'm probably going to be in it about $3,500 bucks. That's the best $3,500 car I think I've ever owned. Yeah, she's a good one. So, anyway, it's been a long day. I'm not that fast. It was about 12 hours worth of work. But she is almost done. So, hope you're all having a good day. Take care.